Released in 1999, Sony created Ape Escape, a game about catching some apes that have seemingly escaped. I know about this game series, but I've never actually played it before despite being a huge PlayStation fan and growing up with a lot of the other Sony classics. This game is unique in that it is specifically designed for use with the new, at the time, DualShock controller, which had two analog sticks. So the game is very centered around this controller. But let's see how Ape Escape is. Is it a great game? Does it deserve its cult classic status? Let's dive in and catch those apes. This game's music is so good. It was composed by Soichi Terada, an electronic music composer, and all his work in this game sounds great, like way better than you would expect for a game about monkeys. I mean apes. Ape Escape is a platformer/adventure game that was released for the PlayStation in 1999, and as the name implies, it's about apes that have escaped through time, and it's your job to stop them. The story and setup here is pretty straightforward. Spectre, a white ape who works at a circus, gains intelligence through a special helmet developed by a professor, who is also developing a time machine. Spectre, with his newfound intelligence, turns evil and sends a bunch of apes back through time to rewrite history. You play as Spike, a kid who's given some tools by the professor to help send the apes back to the present and save time as we know it. All of this is told to you pretty quickly to get right to the action.
Hey, Professor! Spike, Jake, over here, watch out!
Spike, the time station!
No, run you two! Isn't time for any monkey business, Spike.
Ape Escape is notable for being the first game that required use of the DualShock controller, and the reason is because it heavily uses both thumbsticks in such a unique way. You use the left stick to move and the right stick to use your tools. For example, using the right stick with the time net controls what direction you swing it. Pushing forward on the stick makes you swing it forward, and so on. The time net is what you use to capture the monkeys to send them back to the present period. The game's HUD is very Zelda-inspired, with the face buttons being how you select what tool to actively use, and then using the right stick to use that tool. It's a very weird, but unique control scheme that honestly feels so good to use after just a few minutes of adjusting to it. Some of the other tools on your quest are the Stun Club, which helps you defeat some enemies that hinder your path, and the Ape Finder, which is like a radar that helps you locate where the apes are in each level. Each gadget uses the right stick in a pretty unique way. It kind of reminds me of like a precursor to the motion controls in a way. Think of how like Skyward Sword on the Nintendo Switch plays, where you use the stick to kind of swing your sword. I bet if this wasn't a Sony game, it would have made a great Wii game. Oh, they made a PlayStation Move Ape Escape game, and instead of it being cool and unique, it's just an on-rails shooter. Wow. They really missed the mark there, huh?
PlayStation Move Ape Escape game is sold separately from PS3 system, PSI camera, and PS Move motion controller.
Ape Escape is structured similarly to something like Super Mario 64, and that you have various levels all throughout different time periods, each with goals to capture a certain amount of apes before advancing to the next stage. You can always go back to older levels when you have more gadgets to help find all the apes, which makes the game pretty fun for fully completing. You also have your standard platforming game tropes, like energy chips, which act as coins here, collecting 100 gives you another life, and cookies fill up your health meter. Hidden throughout levels are Spectre coins, which are used to unlock minigames. These are pretty simple, but so hilarious. The characters and design on Ape snowboarding, for example, is just so funny to me. They're like paper thin and just so cute. Each stick correlates to a ski that you control, and it's actually pretty challenging. And then there's Ape Boxing, which, like, each stick correlates to a different arm, and it's super tough. I can't even beat the first fight. There's also an Asteroids-type shooting game, but I didn't unlock it. Hunting down the apes also has a bit of complexity. The sirens on their helmets tell you the current status of the ape. Blue means that they are calm and don't know you're around, yellow means that they are on alert, and red means they see you and they will run or attack. Each ape has its own characteristics, even the color of their shorts or tell you how aggressive or how timid they are. Using the Ape Finder is important to study the apes before capture to plan the right move to capture them. After capturing apes, you can learn more about them in the Ape Book on the main hub, which is just hilarious because every ape has a name and a little factoid about them, and some of these just really cracked me up. Also, I should mention that sometimes the apes have guns and will just unload on you immediately. Man, these apes are wild. As you progress through some early stages and unlock some more gadgets on your quest, you will end up getting a cutscene that kind of shows more about Spectre and what he's done with your best friend Jake. And remember, this is 1999, so you get some prime PlayStation voice acting. Please enjoy.
Spectre, what's going on here? What are you planning to do?
Spectre, oh yes. You're the monkey that performs at the amusement park.
What? He's that cute little monkey that everyone loves to come and see? But how?
Yes, that's right. I stumbled onto this incredible invention of yours, this Peak Point helmet, and it's given me remarkable knowledge and great powers. And now, I plan to rule the world, and I owe it to you, Professor.
Given the heavy usage of the sticks and the face buttons just for gadget swapping, the rest of the controls are a little bit unconventional. R1 is your jump button. The D-pad and L buttons will help with better control for your camera. Normally a lot of early platform type games wrestle with the camera controls, but I didn't have a problem with it here. I think it really helps having a quick lock on camera button as well as the D-pad to be more precise with the camera. The only aspect of the controls I don't like is how it works underwater, which thankfully isn't really needed too much. You have to click in the L3 button to dive deeper, and then you just let go of it and you can tap R1 the surface quickly. It feels kinda messy. Thankfully, they make your net shoot in front of you while you're underwater, so capturing apes here isn't that bad. On top of the gadgets, there are a few other vehicles you can control too, like rowing a boat by using both sticks, one for each oar, and a tank, with each stick correlating to a different tread on the tank. These vehicles are really interesting, but a lot of it really comes very late into the game and isn't really explored that much. Given the somewhat mission structure here, finding apes was such a fun time. Notably, there's no map, so you really have to explore, use your ape finder, and just look around to find the minimum required apes to advance. In which you do get the minimum number, you are immediately taken out of the level, just like Mario 64. It has a great flow that gives you ample time to play the game at your own pace. You can save your game at basically any time within the hub area, and go back to explore earlier levels. There's so much content, and it really rewards you for going back once you unlock more and more of the gadgets. Some of my favorites include the little flying gadget propeller thing that gives you increased jump and flight, which is just super fun. As you slowly progress through time, you eventually track down where Spectre is located in medieval times, and you face a giant night boss to get him. After this, though, chaos ensues. The present day has been overrun with apes, the lab is destroyed, and the professor and his assistant Natalie are kidnapped. You must capture more apes until Spectre reveals the next stop in his plan, building an unstoppable base at the carnival that he used to perform at. Here, the game ramps up a fair bit in difficulty as you explore different themed levels in the carnival, a lot that test your platforming and combat skills. It definitely feels like an easy-to-learn, hard-to-master stage of the game, and it is the last world of the game, so I get it. But some of these later platforming parts, they're so difficult. But they are very rewarding once you get through them. Except for this stupid roller coaster, there's no visible way to see how you're supposed to dodge these gates that you just have to jump over, and it's just so fast and so random, and it's just pure luck to get past this part. Worst part of the game. At the go-kart station, you finally get the face-off against Jake, and the spell is completely over him now, which they never really explained how Spectre was able to mind-control Jake if he didn't have a helmet on like the monkeys. Okay, let's not think about it. Once Jake is defeated, you can finally go through Spectre's fortress and defeat him, which is a pretty cool robot fight. And after you defeat him, the game credit rolls. But that's not the real ending, because to get the real ending, you have to capture all 204 apes, which unlocks a final Spectre fight, which gives you the game's true ending. At release, Ape Escape was praised for its gameplay and design, especially towards the utilization of the DualShock controller. This game helped further push the modernization of game controls with the dual stick usage in a great and unique way. And I love games that are quirky and succeed at something new. And that's what Ape Escape is all about. It's also in the attention to detail that this game shines. Things like how the music mellows out while you're sneaking, or how Natalie disappears from the level ending sequences after she's kidnapped. It's goofy and it's silly, but this game just works within its own means, and I love it for that. And can we also talk about the RC car? The last gadget you get is like this little RC car that you move Jake around with the left stick, and you move the car independently with the right stick, and it's used for a lot of really awesome puzzles, but only like in the last third of the game, and this is just so awesome. It's like an asynchronous level design gadget thing, and it's just so cool. I want more of the RC car. It was the best gadget in the game. Ape Escape would go on to get 2 proper sequels. Ape Escape 2 and Ape Escape 3, both released for the PlayStation 2. The original Ape Escape got a remake on the PSP titled Ape Escape on the Loose. Reviews for this one were mixed, most notably due to the new control style since the PSP only has one control stick. Bad reviews aside, this game's got one thing the original game doesn't have, and that's a ping pong minigame. I'm sure that makes up for it. Many PlayStation fans may already recognize Spike as a playable character in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, or Ape Escape's appearance in Astro's Playroom, or the infamous Ape Escape minigame in Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Let's go! I'm so excited for that remake. The aforementioned PlayStation Move title was the last Ape Escape game to be released, and that was 13 years ago. Sony, please let those apes escape once again soon. Ape Escape is a game that just oozes creativity. It's not common to see games that are so heavily based on a specific controller or control type, especially in this era, and this one just makes it so much fun. The premise is ridiculous, but so entertaining. It's bright and colorful, has great level design, great pick-up and play flow, and is a really, really solid game. I was genuinely surprised with how well this game is made and how fun it feels to play. I love games that do something unique, and Ape Escape fits that perfectly while being a funny game about monkeys. Apes. And that's Ape Escape. I am honestly surprised how much I fell in love with this game. It's so unique and so quirky that really makes it right up my alley, and I can definitely see why this is such a beloved franchise. But what did you think? Does this look like a game that you'd want to play? Do you want to go and catch some apes? Let me know in the comments down below, and until next time, take care.